Senator Bettencourt, welcome back to the program. Let's start with flood recovery here. Do you think state lawmakers have enough facts yet, with the recovery still underway, to actually make any substantial changes to law?
Well, that's what these hearings are all about. The first thing is we know that there is some technology that can be used. My idea was to use old tech sirens and combine them with what everybody is getting overloaded on, which are these cell phones right now, because we'll have a blue alert, an amber alert, a silver alert, a security alert, your bank will call you, whatever. And people are now turning these alerts off. In fact, in Texas, we turn off these alerts 5 times as fast as Vermonters do.
Well, I'm one of those people who turned it off. And
Sure.
if I'm camping down there along the Guadalupe, how can I be notified?
Well, that's part of the problem. Now, also, you don't get cell signal down there. Now, so we think a technology package, and that's the bill I'm working on with the Lower Colorado River Authority, that will look at sirens with, Starlink towers, 5G, so we've got redundancy, multiple messages, et cetera. And really what you're trying to do is layer on. You want to get people's attention. The real problem is that in the middle of the night, with these turned off or picked up in a camp, you have to get people's attention. So, and there's nothing like an old school siren to get that attention, but you have to make sure it's triggered correctly. We've got gauges that tie into it. There's what's called a supervisory computer and data acquisition, taking the input. So there's a lot of things we have to do with this technology package, but that's just going to be part of many bills that the committee looks at.
And I'm thinking too, if the sirens are sounding, unless they're like right on top of me, if it's raining really hard, there's lightning and thunder outside and a roaring river next to me, will I hear those sirens?
Well, that's why you're going to have a lot of them. And we're not talking about just the Western Guadalupe here. We're talking about all these watersheds because we've had flooding in 3 major river watersheds just this month alone. So we're looking at a comprehensive solution, and I've gotten some budget numbers already. They're doable, and more importantly, we need to take public testimony from emergency management, from the water board, from the meteorologist, the state, weather, everybody we can think of
Yeah.
it. And I know that's Chairman Perry's intention to do that, and I know Ken King for a long time, and I believe he'll start there as well.
What's the cost of this? How many sirens are we talking about?
Well, I don't want to give out all the numbers yet, Jason, because we just got them. We're looking at it, but this is going to be, this will be a few $10 million if we do it everywhere in the state. The important thing is we're going to make sure we have the right package first before we start talking money, and make sure that we haven't missed anything. Look, this idea of bringing back sirens, everybody had the idea because everybody's sitting there thinking, gosh, what would have got my attention at 3 a.m. in the morning when there's a 20-foot full of a wall of water headed to me? And everybody came up with sirens, 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 but that's just the visible side of this, or the auditory side to be precise. And then, but you have to make sure you have the right gauge data. You have to make sure you understand what the topography of the area is. There's a lot of questions here. So the committee hearings will flesh it out to be able to put the right touches together on the bills that we're about ready to file.
And how many watersheds are we talking about here, Senator?
Well, I mean, there's at least a dozen watersheds that could have this technology. You look at it, it's just not the Guadalupe. You've got the Llano and go up the list in Central Texas. Look, the flash flood area of the state is obvious. It's a place where the ground is much higher. The Edwards Plateau, everybody knows that from, being a kid on your geography maps in Texas. So we also have to talk to the local officials because what works for the Lower Colorado River Authority might not work for the Western, Guadalupe
Yeah.
River Authority exactly. There's a lot to do, but I think that we're already going to have a lot of the information. Now, there's two things on this hearing. There's the one in Capitol where it's going to be more technical. Then we're actually going to go to Kerrville. And there we're going to hear from local officials, survivors, and sadly, a lot of people who have lost their loved ones, uh, because that's the real tragedy here.
And the Kerrville hearing, the field hearing, is the 31st of July, I believe I read.
Right.
That's halfway through the special session. Is something going to happen in the first special session, or will this continue on to multiple ones?
Well, I mean, I've got a bill that I'll have filed probably by next week. There are other bills being considered, and part of this is we know what obviously didn't work because we got a tragedy where a couple hundred people died. So once we start there, we can make the best initial bill drafts that we've got that allow us to start looking at these issues. Because just dropping a siren in, to answer your earlier question, a siren has about a 3 mile, footprint.
Sure.
Now, if you're in the right part of a limestone cliffs, you might get echoes and hear it further, but then it could be diminished by the fact you've got rain and other ambient noise you're dealing with. So part of this is we're going to listen to everybody, and that's the important part of these hearings. You listen to everybody, and I think I'll have a bill filed by the time the committee meeting gets started.
When I watched all this happening, I was thinking, sirens are a good idea because they've been asking for those for a number of years along the Guadalupe. Watching this from afar, though, it seems to me that one obvious answer is to ban any sleeping quarters in the floodway and not grandfather anybody in. Is that even under consideration, do you think?
Well, I mean, these are different segments of the same problem. Okay. Now, I like you watched the interview of the RV park owner and them trying to save the RV family that was out in the
Right.
middle of the stream. And that would have been the one place where we wouldn't want anybody parked that night, was in the middle of the stream. So that's going to be stuff we'll discuss with the local elected officials, property owners, and all the people involved in this, the people that survived it as well in Kerrville.
Couple last questions here, Senator, and we'll let you run. Lawmakers had a chance to pass legislation during the regular session that would have enhanced the state's disaster response, including better alert systems, a grant for counties also to buy new communications equipment. At the time, there was some lawmakers who were balking at the price tag of that. Looking back, hindsight's 2020, obviously, but was that a mistake?
The quick answer is no, even though there are things to learn from that. Okay, so let me explain. Okay, that original bill, I wasn't. That's not my bill. I mean, and it was not my committee. Was about a $500 million. So there are, when price tags get up to be that number, you have to, make sure that everyone is in agreement on what we're spending it. The problem
Right.
with all of this is that even at warp speed, it's going to be tough to get these solutions done in a year, because that's what the governor, lieutenant governor, speaker have all said. Let's get these things deployed in a year. So even if we had started on it in May as opposed to July, there are fundamental limitations of being able to get technology like that bought and deployed, because really what the state does is get the money, have the top-down guidelines, and then set up, the through the water board how to get
Right.
this money distributed, just like we did back in Wimberley floods or the Memorial Day floods back in 2015. So, so this is, a second chance to take a look at all these issues. The first bill was also much more about wildfires up in the panhandle.
Mhm.
Now, with the merger of the House and the Senate, which is really what Speaker Burrows and Lieutenant Governor have done, put together this committee, we're bringing in Ken King, who happens to be the author of that bill, along with a very experienced water person, which is Charles Perry. Okay, and we're putting both of this together, so I think we'll have a very good output. Um, but uh, but again, uh, we have because of the tragedy, everyone has a chance to look at this issue in more detail, and and what a solution that works in the panhandle about a wildfire may be much more focused on communication and responders and government being all on the same radio frequency. And in the river authority areas, when we're looking at rural flash floods, it may be more about sirens and
Mhm.
voice, announcements and additional layering on cell phones. But we'll have a chance to do both.
Before I let you go, I want to ask you just about timeline and all this. The special session's 30 days long. There's the flood recovery that you guys will be considering. There's THC ban as well, and then redistricting included as well. Can all of this get done in 30 days, or do you expect lawmakers will be in Austin throughout the summer?
I expect that I could use some clones, okay? Because I've got the education bill talking about doing the star replacement test. That's one of mine. We've got this technology bill. We've got other bills that we're looking at. It's jam packed. I mean, it's going to be quite a busy special session, and we're going to get as much done as we can. That's just the way it works.
Yeah.
But this is worth it, and I think Lieutenant Governor Patrick's been really clear on this. His priorities are obviously the floods, and then he's got a redistricting priority. And then, of course, we have a giant priority in between, which is the THC bill. So there is no lack of things to be done. Let's put it that way.
Indeed. So, Senator, we appreciate the time as always.
Thank you.